As you can see on his posted bio on your conference app, that our speaker this morning is one of the most in-demand and top-rated motivational speakers in the nation. I first saw our speaker this past spring at the NASSP jointly held advocacy conference in Washington, D.C., and I knew after hearing him speak, he was just what the 2025 State Conference Planning Committee was looking for to open the annual conference. Now, when you go to the advocacy training and the advocacy conference, you go through 2 days of training to meet with legislators. We met with senators, Congress folks, and several other people in this room did that on behalf of Virginia principals as well. And the thing they tell you the most that we possess as principals and assistant principals is we possess the power of stories. Our stories are what makes a difference when we advocate for our kids, our profession, our jobs. And when I heard Carlos's story at that conference, as a grizzly old veteran, I was moved to tears. It made me get re-energized and excited. It made me reflect on my own practices. It made me think about the stories of my kids, my parents, my families. And I'm confident this morning when you hear him speak, you'll do the same thing. I invite you to hear his story and his message of fighting forward and the story that we all share collectively, but as you share with your individual students that you work with every day, sometimes all the successes we've had, but also maybe reflecting on times where maybe we could have done a little extra for students, or maybe because we didn't know the full story of that student. So without further ado, please help me give Carlos, our Virginia principals and assistant principals, welcoming Carlos Ojeda Jr. to the stage.
What's up? I got to do a sound check. I need to make sure you can hear me and I can hear you. Clap once if you hear me. Virginia got some rhythm. All right. Let's see. Clap once if you hear me. Clap twice if you hear me. Clap 3 times if you're ugly. Got to make sure you're listening. Clap once if you hear me. My name is Carlos Alberto Ojeda Torres Rivera de Jesus Jr. But you don't got to worry about that. You can call me Chu, because that's what my friends and family call me. And I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, right across the river from New York City. I could see the New York City skyline from my crib, but growing up, you couldn't tell me that, because I thought I lived in Puerto Rico. Everybody in my neighborhood was Puerto Rican. They looked like me. They dressed like me. Well, let's see. And I know you're looking at that picture going, oh, he cute. But don't get it twisted, I ran them streets. Actually, if we look at that, that's an example of really bad parenting right there. And if you owed me money, I was coming to get it, right? Like I'm in the mafia, right? 3-piece suit and all. Now, what I didn't realize was that living in Newark, New Jersey, it was one of the deadliest cities in America. Carjacking capital of the world, but to me, it was just home. It's where my friends were, where we went to school, where we played basketball, where we rode our bikes. I didn't understand danger, but my mom and dad were obsessed with it. My father was obsessed with making me tough. He would look at me and say, if somebody mess with you, you fight back. Can you help me with that? If somebody mess with me, what I do? Fight back. But there was a problem with that. I really wasn't a fighter. I was more of a lover. Wait, what? What do the kids call that now? Riz, right? Peak aura, right? And even though I got along with the girls, there was only one girl who had my heart. And that was Olga Caballero. Oh, that girl. I remember the first time she grabbed my hand, like we were supposed to walk together. I was like, girl, what you doing? Oh, wait a minute, I kind of like that, right? And I remember the first time she gave me a kiss on the cheek. I didn't wash this side of my face for like a week, y'all, because I felt love. And love is a powerful thing. This abstract, it's not tangible, it's like not real, but it is. Can't get any realer than it. It changes you. It makes you feel safe, makes you feel like you can do anything. But that same love that I felt for her was sadly the same love that took her away. Because when I was 10 years old, I used to love riding my bike from my house to the corner because that's what my mama said I could do. And I had one of those little militant Puerto Rican moms that if you don't do what she tells you to do, she kills you. Don't laugh. She had a semi-automatic chancla and a belt. She was gangster. Who doesn't know what a chancla is? Raise your hands right now. All right, for those that don't know what a chancla is, it's a slipper with GPS tracking. So when it gets thrown, regardless of where you go, it will find you. So when my mama said, ride your bike to the corner, where did I ride my bike? To the corner. And when I got to the corner, there was a drug deal going down. And that was normal. But what happened that day wasn't. Two dudes got into an argument, started shoving. One pulled out the gun, BOP! Right in the head. I was 10 years old when I witnessed my first murder. All my friends broke out running. Me, I didn't even ride my bike back to the house. I just dragged it with me when I was running because I had to come home with that bike. My mom, she knew that something was wrong. She could sense it. She looked at me. She said, like, she thought maybe I did something. She's like, what did you do? And then she heard sirens coming closer and closer. She's like, that better not be for you. Because if those sirens are for you, there's going to be another siren take you to the hospital. She realized that I was scared, that I saw something no 10-year-old should ever see, that most people should never see. Cops came, started canvassing the neighborhood, asking questions. Did you see something? Do you know something? And as they got closer and closer to my house, my father walked out. Now, my father is the opposite of my mother. My father is this tall, diesel, evil-looking, dark-skinned Puerto Rican man. He was tough, or at least he looked it, because you had to. Like if he was walking down the street and you were walking down the street, you'd go, yeah, I'm across that street. So he came up to me and he said, you didn't see anything. And I looked at him, I was like, okay. And then my mom came out and started yelling at my dad, which normally I thought was hilarious because my mom was so small and my dad's so tall it always looked like she was yelling at God, like, you need to stop. This time it was different. My mom was crying. I hated seeing my mom cry. And she looked at my father, she said, Yo te adoro, I love you, but we can't raise our kids here. There was blood on his bike. We have a little baby girl upstairs. I'm leaving and I'm taking the kids with me and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And I took a step back. And as I tried to step back, my father grabbed me by my face forcefully and said, no, mijo, come here. And he looked me right in my eyes. And then he looked at my mom and he said something completely unexpected. He said, wherever you and our children go, I go. And I was like, oh, my dad loved me, yo. So they packed me up. Everything I knew and loved. Took me from the only place I ever called home. Moved me from the New York City skyline. And moved me all the way to a place called Reading, Pennsylvania. There were horses and buggies on the way to Reading, Pennsylvania. It was like Amish mafia out there, y'all. And on top of that, I was pretty sure that the people that lived in Reading, Pennsylvania were dumb because they spell Reading R-E-A-D-I-N-G. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that spell? They stupid. And when we got to school, it got worse because when we got to school, they took one look at the way my mother was dressed. They took one listen to her heavy, sick accent because she came from Puerto Rico very late in life and didn't speak English that well, and they knew exactly where to put me. They put me in bilingual. Now, bilingual back in the days isn't the way bilingual is now. Bilingual back in the days, it took everybody that didn't speak the language and they put us in a room together. So it was me, a kid from Korea, a kid from Germany, and a Jamaican kid, which made me laugh because I don't know if you know this, but Jamaicans, they speak English. He just had an accent. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know, man. They just put me here. True story. Best friend for life. I don't know if you know this, but when you put that many people in a room together that don't speak English, we don't learn English. We learn how to curse each other out in each other's languages. I can get fierce in other languages. After a while, I started getting bored. Started looking at the regular classes, made an awesome discovery. There were really hot girls in the regular classes. And all I had were these three freaky dudes, right? Who we really didn't know what we were saying to each other. So I went to the lady, I said, can I go to the regular classes? And she's like, no. You aren't from around here. I didn't know what the heck this was all about. I didn't know if she was a diva or what. The whole hand motion tripped me out. So I went home and I told my dad. Now my dad's what you call a New Yorican. Came from Puerto Rico when he was a kid. Grew up in the boogie down Bronx, New York City. Street from head to toe. Right? My father speaks mostly English, barely any Spanish. Which is funny because my mama speaks Spanish, barely any English. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the secret to a long, successful marriage. Because when they argued, they never knew what they were saying to each other. And I was always the interpreter. Like, they would get really heated. My dad was like, you're crazy. And he'd walk out, and my mom would go, ven aquí. ¿Qué dijo? What did he say? And I could never lie to my mom. There was something about the way she looked at me. So I told her the truth. I said, Mommy, he said you're beautiful. Like the stars in the skies. And she said, you're a liar, mentiroso. But I love what you're saying. So when I spoke to my mother, cuando le hablaba a mi mamá, le hablaba en español, porque es mi cultura, es mi idioma. When I spoke to my mother, I spoke to her in Spanish because that's my language and that's my culture. But when I spoke to my dad, I spoke to him in English because that's my language and that's my culture. Because in these United States, these beautiful, amazing United States, you can pick from the beautiful mosaic of cultures that compose it, pick and choose the things that connect with you and vibe with you to define who you are. So I went home and I told my dad, I talked to him street. I walked up to my dad, I said, yo, Dad, yo, Pop. He said, yo, what's up? I said, yo, man, they put me in bilingual. And my dad's like, for real? And I was like, yo, for real, for real. And he's like, yo, for real, for real, for real. And I was like, yo, for real. That, ladies and gentlemen, is effective child-parent communication. He knew exactly what I was saying to him. And he looked at me and says, you know what? We're going to go to school tomorrow. We're going to fix this. And I was like, but Dad, why are you coming to school? I didn't do anything. I'm not in trouble. He's like, you ain't in trouble. Teachers are. I was like, word? Say less. I walked into school the next day looking at the teachers like, y'all gonna get it. My dad gonna punch you. He gonna punch you. You getting punched twice. And my father walked in, said, excuse me, why is my son in bilingual? And they couldn't give him an answer. They just put me there. Nobody asked me if I could do the work. Nobody asked me if I could speak the language. Nobody asked me if I had hopes or dreams that were irrelevant. They just labeled me. They said, this is who you are. This is what you're going to be. Try to put me in a little box. Tell me that's the extent that I can grow. But me, just like each and every child that we teach, each and every child that parents give us to be their stewards, their shepherds, their guides, each and every one of those child, I'm a wildflower. Not meant to live in a box. I'm meant to be free, to grow as far as I want to, reach as high as I need to. But check it. From the moment we're born until we die, someone will always try to label us. They will try to label those kids short, tall, fat, skinny, pretty, ugly, gifted, trouble, gay, straight, confused, red, white, blue, black, brown. It's up to you to decide. It's up to the kids to decide. They should never allow anyone to tell a child who they are or who they will become. That is their destiny to fulfill. Nobody else's. They get to define themselves. Period. End of statement. No conversation. Nobody told me that. No one. But my dad was there. There were times I was ashamed of my father. Where he was a maintenance man. He cleaned toilets. He replaced them. He wore the navy blue Dickie pants with the powder blue Dickie shirts with his name on it. Drove a powder blue truck with the name. I was ashamed of my father. Cleaning toilets. Ashamed of what my friends would say about my father, about me. There were times my father would come to me on a Saturday and say, "Puppy, I got to go to work. Will you come with me so I can get home faster?" And I would make up some sort of excuse. I'm not feeling well, Dad. I told the guys I was going to meet him to play basketball. This one time, if you've ever been to Reading, Pennsylvania, the school is on top of the hill. They call it the castle on the hill. It's very far, almost 15 blocks from my house. And it was snowing. And my father left work early to come pick me up at school so I wouldn't have to walk home. But he did it so quickly that he did not have an opportunity to change. So he came in the powder blue truck, wearing his clothes, waiting on the corner. And as I saw him, I pretended not to see him. And I walked away. I was ashamed of him. I should have been ashamed of myself. This man's father abandoned him. And what did he do? He stood his ground, stood on business. He raised his brothers and sisters. He worked his entire life for me. And here he was, even though he was scared, in a space where he was talking to people far more educated than him. He was standing his ground for me. He was my hero. And he looked at the teachers, he said, "Why is my son in bilingual?" And they couldn't give him an answer. He's like, "Is there a test you can give him to tell him where you belong?" And they said, "Yes." He said, "Well, give him the test." And they did. You know what happened? I aced it. I spoke English and Spanish, wrote English and Spanish, read English and Spanish. Man, I dream in English and Spanish. I even speak French now. Je parle le français très bien. Étudiez le français pour 6 ans. Voulez-vous coucher? I know that song. Should not be on the radio. Completely inappropriate. So they apologized to my father and told him they were going to put me in regular classes, but the damage was done. In my eyes, school didn't like me. If school doesn't like me, I don't like school. If school doesn't believe in me, then why should I believe in school? And remember what my dad taught me. Somebody mess with you, what do? I can't hear you, what do? You fight back. So I got in trouble all the time. Got into scuffles, got into fights, got into arguments. A teacher said something, I always had a smart remark. My 10th grade geometry teacher called me the greatest piece of garbage she'd ever seen in his life. You know what they say? My dad said, if somebody mess with you, what do you say? I didn't fight back. I don't know if it was the fact that he brought me in front of all my classmates in the front of the class when he did it. I don't know if it was the fact that he kicked me out of geometry and made sure that I was going to have to retake it next year with a younger group of students, making me feel stupid. Or maybe it was the fact that when I looked him in his eyes, it looked like he meant it. That I was trash. That I didn't matter. You throw trash away. Who throws a kid away? I know I was difficult. I know I was hard, but you shouldn't throw me away. Words matter. The words you share with the people you work with, the people you love, the people you serve, your words matter. They can build or they can destroy. Sometimes we forget about that in the course of our day-to-day, that what we say matters, of great importance to children. I learned that. I learned just how powerful words were in 2013. In 2013, I was in Idaho in a small town. Never been there. I spoke to the entire school, rocked out with them. Standing ovation, I'm hanging out, taking selfies with the kids, and I noticed in the corner of my eye that there's a young lady standing there, gothed out. She's wearing black from head to toe, right? Black lipstick, choker, black hair, except she had beautiful, bright red chucks. And I noticed, and I kind of leaned over from taking pictures and said, hey, I love your red chucks. And she smiled. And then I went back to doing my thing, taking pictures. I figured I'd get around to her, but people were waiting in line. And when I turned, she was gone. At 12 o'clock, they had a special luncheon for me with some of the students. She snuck in. And there she was sitting there. Didn't say anything. All black, red chucks. I smiled. She smiled back. At 1 o'clock, I did a special leadership workshop for their student council group in the library. She snuck in. There she was. She was not a member of student council. Not one bit. And she was just hanging out. She was listening. And she's always on the periphery, always on the edge. And I smiled at her, and she smiled back. I had to do an evening program for parents. I didn't feel like driving back to the hotel, which was pretty far away. So I decided to stay at the school because they had a soccer match. So after school, I went to the soccer match because the kids invited me. I'm sitting on the bleachers, chilling, and I look over. There she is again. All black, red chucks. And I lean over. I think, hey, you like soccer? She's like, I have no idea what they're doing. But she sat there quietly, wouldn't say anything. Smiled back. 7 o'clock comes around, open house, I'm hanging. I've got an auditorium full of parents and students, rocked out with them. Parents are coming up, and I notice her. And as I got to the last few parents, I said, hey, come over here, sit down. You've been my shadow all day. It's time we talk. Shyly, she got up on the stage, and I sat on the stage, and we started talking. She told me that her father was never in the picture and that her mother had passed away 4 months ago. And she was living with her grandparents, and her grandfather hated her because every time he looked at her, he saw his daughter and all of his failures. She said she felt alone. She felt like nobody would listen to her or see her. She started saying things that made me think that she might be hurting herself. But I told her, you got to keep your head up. I said, look, I know you feel lost, but eventually we all find our tribes. And now I'm a member of yours, and you're a member of mine. So we exchanged information because we were there for about, 45 minutes talking, and they were kicking us out. So we started talking on Facebook. Yeah, remember that? People used to use that. We would direct message on Facebook, right? And she would just tell me about her day, and I would talk to her. But as the weeks progressed, things got darker and darker and pessimistic on the messaging. And I found myself having to pep talk her a lot. About 5 weeks in, I received a message that felt like she was saying goodbye. I can feel it, I can sense it. She thanked me for the time I spent talking to her. And I knew it, so I woke up on a Saturday morning and I called the counselor. I said, look, I think she's going to hurt herself. I need you to check. And the counselor's like, Chu, relax. Do you know how these kids are? They're dramatic. They want attention. And I was like, look, lady, if you don't go looking for her, I'm hopping on the next plane to Idaho, and I'm driving, and I'm going to go myself. She's like, fine, but you're going to see it's for nothing. They went looking for the girl. They went to the house. She had been missing for 2 days. Grandparents had not even reported it. Oh, she's probably with their friends. They're probably doing drugs and listening to music. Can you get more stereotypical? Friends came and everyone started looking. She said she had no friends, but she did. But when you're young and you're angry and you're just lost, you don't see it. And they started looking for her. And one of the friends said, hey, I remember this one barn that her mom used to take to go pet and feed horses. They went. That's where they found her. She had hurt herself. She had taken pills. But she was still alive. 4 or 5 days later, I get a message on Facebook. Shoo, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. After that message, she didn't respond. I sent a couple messages to check in on her. She stopped responding. In 2019, I had just got done speaking at San Francisco at the Gear Up conference, and I felt pretty good. And we were walking from dinner when I received a ding from Facebook messaging. And I was like, who still uses Facebook? It was Danielle. And this is what she sent to me. Hey, it's Danielle. I'm not sure if you remember me or not, but back in 2013, you came and spoke to my school in American Falls, Idaho. My mother had recently passed, and I was depressed to the point of suicidal. On a particularly dark day, you said you liked my red chucks. You saw me. So in my darkest moment, I came to you for help. That moment has stuck with me. And out of all that I remember from those years, you stick out. You have probably done hundreds of talks since then, but the talk you did for American Falls back in 2013, it impacted and still impacts me today. Thank you. I have since grown as a person and I have control of my depression. I have graduated and moved from Idaho to Iowa for college. I will be studying biology in Iowa State University in the fall. Things are bright. I found my tribe. Over my years since those dark moments, I've learned that sometimes it's the small things that make the difference. A string of rough days can be made just a little easier by a small gesture. And I just wanted to thank you for talking to a small town and impacting the life of a lost little girl. Keep doing what you're doing. Love, Danielle. Words matter. The things we say matter. More than ever, our young people are struggling. The number one issue, if you ask kids, is mental health. They need love. She needed love. Oh, and she sent me a picture of her tribe. They're LARPers. How cool is that? All she needed was a little love, a loving, caring adult to be there for her. And I just happened to be that loving, caring adult that day. Our kids need this on a regular basis, day in, day out. It is a mental health crisis. 7.9 million students sought mental health services in the last 2 years. We know that's underreported. That's not the need. That's just the ones that were strong enough and brave enough and existed in a space safe enough for them to say, I need help. And I knew, because I needed that love too. And instead, I got garbage. And I believe that. Because when someone tells you a lie enough times, you start to believe it's true. So by 12th grade, I wasn't doing anything. Getting in trouble, getting just enough work to get by. And then one day, everything changed because I found love. I found love. One day, this really beautiful girl walked by, and I had a crush on her. She was from Trinidad. I didn't even know where that was from. She was beautiful. I had a crush on her. I know it's real because I was writing poetry. You know it's real when you're writing rhymes, right? When you're sitting there, like trying to figure out what rhymed. And this girl walked over to the guidance office. I had never been to the guidance office. Every time they would give me a path to go to the guidance office, for whatever the reason was, I would just take that path and walk around the halls until the next period. Oh, you know my game, right? You've seen it. You're familiar with it. So I had never gone to the guidance office, but she walked in. So where do you think I went? Well, I went looking for some guidance, y'all. And I walked up to the door, and there was this crazy Puerto Rican lady standing at the door, and she wasn't letting people in because you needed a special path to get in to the special meeting. And I did not have set paths. So I looked at her and said, please, miss, let me go in. I just got to talk to one person only. I promise I'm not going to mess up your vibe. I'm just going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to dip. And I don't know if she felt sorry for me. I don't know if she took pity on me. But she let me slide in. And I walked in the door. I started looking for the girl, and it was crowded. There was a lot of people there. And I'm looking, and I see her. I swore I heard music. This was my moment. This is what the kids like to call shoot my shot, right? This is it. I had been practicing. I knew what I was going to say, right? So I took a deep breath. I said a little prayer. Padre, Espíritu Santo. And I walked up, and I hit her like this. Mama, you look good. Wait, that's just the introduction, all right? Mama, you look good. Mama, you look fly. Mama, if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd make sure that you and I would be together forever. It didn't work. And even though it didn't work, when I do this in front of kids, kids are like, man, I got to write that down. It didn't work. The girl started walking away, and I chased her down and said, Mama, please, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 1, I'm a 0 together. We make a perfect 10. Too much math involved. It didn't work either. And she started walking away, and I chased her down, and then I just decided to speak from my heart. Something from deep inside. I said, look, Mandy, stop. How do you know my name? Girl, I know your name. The only name I've been thinking about. Your father must have been a thief, because he stole every star in the sky, and he put them in your beautiful brown eyes. It worked! Oh, she gave you the number, girl. I was like, yo, I got the number. On the outside, I was like, I'll give you a call. On the inside, I was like, oh my God. My mascara, oh my God. And I got the number, and I was so happy. And I was about to walk out when I realized that crazy Puerto Rican lady who was at the front door, she had been watching the entire time. And as I tried to leave, she just jumped right in front of me. She's like, where do you think you're going? I said I was going to leave. She's like, nah, you're going to college. And I very respectfully, very politely responded to her. You crazy, you on drugs, you on crack, I don't know. But I'm not the kind of person that goes to school. She's like, don't worry about that. You're going to school. I left and I hung out the rest of the day, hanging with my friends. When I get home to my house and I walked in the door, my mom is on the phone with the crack lady. Talking Spanish. Dime que no me diga que verdad que no. I was like, what in the world? My father got home at 4:30 from work. Some crazy lady called me during my lunch break. Everywhere I went, this lady was there. Everywhere I went, she was stalking me. I was like, I got to call the cops. What's the number for 911? Okay, some of you got that joke. The rest of you will get it later. Everywhere I went, every time I was getting in trouble, she was there defending me. Every time I was trying to goof off, maybe sleep in study hall, she would come, get me out of study hall, take me to the guidance office, talking about college and school and opportunity. She was the first teacher to ever treat me like a human being. She was the first teacher that made me feel worth and value. She would tell me things that I still remember today, like, not only are you allowed to dream true, you're allowed to make it a reality. Just don't say that to a kid. It makes me start thinking about what I can do. She would talk to my mom in Spanish so that she would understand, and she made my parents get crazy. Like, I remember she was obsessed with me going to a college fair, and my mom's like, vamos para la feria, let's go to the fair. And I said, Mama, I don't want to go. She's like, why don't you want to go? There's cotton candy and rice. I said, Mommy, it's not that type of fair. She got my parents all in a frenzy. She told me that I wasn't garbage. She said that I was the hopes and dreams of my family. She was right. Now, full disclosure, all of that was important, but she was also hot and I had a crush on her. But in the grand schemes, it's irrelevant because it was what was inside that mattered. She introduced me to other teachers like Mr. Campbell, who helped me finish geometry and other math classes. She taught me to meet up with Miss Ellie to help me write and kind of use my poetry for a literary book that she was going to use. Mr. Oddhouse, who helped me with algebra. Mrs. Wright, who taught me how to cook. She connected me with a new vice principal, not Mr. Lee, who loved busting me for stuff, but Miss Carabello, which now I know is Miss Carabello, who always looked me out and would grab me and talk to me about being better. And then this lady invited me to come visit her school. Free day out of school, all I can eat lunch buffet, and I get to be completely alone with her. Look at me. Me and food have an intimate relationship. We went 4 hours into the middle of nowhere. I saw more trees than I've ever seen before in my life. I saw rabbits. I saw chipmunks. I saw deer. I thought I was in Bambi Part 2, Puerto Rican in the woods. And I was super excited to go on this trip. I made a special mixtape of love songs for the trip. Love songs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because I wasn't sure how old she was. I wanted to cover all the bases. And we took a tour of the campus, and it was beautiful. I'd never been anywhere so beautiful, so clean, so friendly. Everybody was smiling, and people were playing hacky sack. I'd never seen hacky sack. I think, what the heck are these people doing? They took us into a room where they were going to start the presentation about the university. And all the kids, the smart kids, they sat up front. Where do you think I sat? In the back, baby, with my headphones on, listening to my music. I grew up in the golden era of hip-hop. Biggie Smalls, Tupac, that's my time. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Yeah, some of y'all want to keep going. The lady walked in. She saw me in the back. She got mad. She comes up to me and she's like, what are you doing back here? I said, what, miss? Take off my headphones. Actually, I remember only taking one side of it. And she's like, I said, what? She's like, why are you sitting back here? I said, what? I'm just chilling, listening to my music. And then I remember her flicking the other headphone off. She's like, do you even want to come to school here? Yeah. What makes you think I don't? Then you should sit up front, not in the back. Do you want to go to school? I go, yes. Like, A-S-A. Now, what I didn't know then, I know now. I want to share with y'all this. I am deaf. I only have 5% of my hearing. I have to wear 4 specially designed hearing aids. The 2 that go in my ear are not mold. I ask them to make them clear so when I show students, I want them to see that you can see the component, that they can understand that I have 2 aids in my ear, razor thin wire hearing aids in the back that are connected. Without them, great with your wife. Like, sorry, baby, I got technical. I have to come back later. But some of you are like, man, that's a damn good idea. Huh? But it's not cool when I'm a kid. And everybody wants to label me a problem. Behavior problem, attitude problem, emotional problem. That problem, every damn problem they can come up with, except for the one that I had. Hearing problem. I went undiagnosed until I was 23 years old. And at 23, they told me I only had 47% of my hearing left. I would have exponentially over the course of my life. That meant that half of my life went unheard. Half of my life went unresponded to. Happy I love you, my mom said to me, I never even heard. How does someone get to 23 without anyone realizing that he's hearing impaired? Simple. They labeled me. They labeled me shy. Does any part of me even remotely look shy to you? But I stopped raising my hands. Time I made it over and over and over again. It made me. But when a kid stopped raising his hand, that's when you need to start asking questions. When there's a shift in behavior, ask the question why. Why are they this way? What's going on? What's understanding? Our kids are going through a lot. The two most difficult times in life is when you're dying and when kids are going through puberty and transformation and changing. It is the two most difficult moments because it involves the most transformation. When you get really, really old and suddenly you wake up and you're like, what the hell happened last night? All you did is sleep, but you feel like you were wrestling a bear. You wake up and you pulled the hamstring. How? As you get older, and the older you get, that is a difficult transition and transition. It is the same thing for young people. They're going through a tough time, and we forget sometimes because we're adult, and psychologically speaking, we block out that time. They're going through it. So much that they go through. If they're quiet, there's a reason. If they're not acting like normal kids, something's up. This lady, she looked at me, and instead of labeling me, instead of putting me in a bucket, she helped me. She said S-A-T. I didn't even hear the T. All I heard was S-A. It's like, I ain't writing no damn essay. And she's like, you stupid, but we're going to fix you. So she explained what the SATs were, filled out the application with me, even got me a waiver to pay for it. I was told that I was garbage, that I would never amount to anything, that I would either die or drop out, but I would never, ever, ever hold a diploma in this hand. But the first time I took the SATs, back when they were based out of 1600, I scored an 1100 out of 1600. That meant that I could go to almost any school I wanted to, that I could get financial aid. That meant that I wasn't garbage, that I was the hopes and dreams of my family, and it was because of this woman, this amazing woman. She came to my house. She made me fill out applications to every school imaginable. I even filled out applications to schools I didn't even know where they were. I don't know where East Michigan University is. Filled it out. She came to my house months later. My mom made dinner for us. My family was embarrassing me. And then my mom said, we're going to grab the dishes and the family's going to go into the kitchen so you can have some privacy. And the lady sat down. She brought her briefcase over. And she's like, are you ready? I go, yeah. And I pulled out all the letters of acceptance. Because this piece of garbage got accepted to every university I applied to. And she looked at me, she's like, where do you want to go to school? I said, I want to go with you because you believed in me, so it's my turn to believe in you. She said, I was hoping you'd say that. She reached into her briefcase and she pulled out a crisp piece of paper and she put it on the table. She pushed it over to me, and when I read it, I'll tell you what, I could not say a word. I was speechless. And for someone who had always had a smart comment, locked and loaded for any situation, I just started to cry. Congratulations, full tuition scholarship to her school. And before I could say anything, my mom busted in from the kitchen like SWAT. Boom, ay Dios mío, mijo, I love you. Because she's so damn nosy, she was listening the whole time. Privacy, whatever. And then my dad walked in. Now, I've never seen my father cry. In all my years, my father never cried. Every funeral, never shed a tear. Even when we watched The Lion King, he didn't cry. Like when Mufasa died and Simba's like, come on, Dad, let's go home. My dad's like, that's very sad. That's as much as you get from him, right? So I thought maybe he was going to be emotional. He goes, good job. Don't forget to throw out the trash. But he couldn't kill my vibe because I was going to college. And on graduation night, I was wearing a cap and gown. And when they called my name, Carlos Ojeda Jr., I walked up on that stage like I owned the place. And as I got on that stage and started getting closer and closer to the podium where they were giving out the diplomas, I started thinking about that teacher. The one that told me that I was garbage, the one that told me that I would amount to nothing, the one that told me that I would either die or drop out, but I would never, ever, ever hold a diploma in this hand. And you know what? They were absolutely right. Because I'm left-handed and I grabbed it with this damn hand. And I grabbed that diploma and my family started screaming my name, choo-choo. And I ran into the audience looking for my family. Reading High has like 4,000 kids. It's like so packed, right? So many people. I couldn't find my family. Kept looking. I would see other families hugging and crying. And the more I saw that, the more emotional I got. The more I started crying because I just wanted to find my family. And I kept looking, and then suddenly the crowd parted. And I saw something I had never seen before in my life. My father was crying. I took a step back because the image kind of threw me, and as I did, he grabbed my face forcefully. Said, "No, mijo." He brought me forward, and then he just gripped me up, almost violently, like that fool didn't know how to hug somebody. He hurt my neck. And my mom took a picture of it because she said this was the moment that changed our family forever. I miss them. Full disclosure, if your parents are still alive, spend every waking moment with them. I was with my mom yesterday. I walked her home. We talked. She yelled at me. Nature of our relationship. I'm 50. It don't matter. It's been 18 years since he's gone. I still feel him. I feel that embrace. I have his fingerprint on this charm. Whenever I'm nervous, I always hold on to it. He grabbed the back of my head and put our foreheads together. It hurt like hell. He knocked my cap clear off my head. To this day, I'm pretty sure that the cap I picked off the ground isn't even mine because it's too small and my name's not Susie. True story. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Tú eres mi hijo. El hijo de Carlos Ojeda. The son of Carlos Ojeda. You can be whatever you want to be, go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do as long as you choose to." Then he said one word in Spanish. Vete. Go. That was the moment. That was the moment that I realized that my father didn't want me to go back into the fields that my grandparents worked in Puerto Rico, cutting sugar cane for rum. He didn't want me to go there. I also knew that my father didn't want me to work in the factory that he worked, the factory that he died at 18 years ago, working for our families. No, he didn't want that. And he didn't want me to go into the streets with my friends. One of my friends is on death row for double murder. That's where I come from. He didn't want that. He wanted me to go forward. And that's when I realized that my father was wrong. And that Miss Fea Ortiz was right. See, my father always said, if somebody messes with you, what do? No, you don't fight back. Fea, this educator, this teacher, this amazing human being taught me that you don't fight back. Because every time I fought back, I got in trouble. Every time I fought back, I got stuck. Every time I fought back, all I saw were obstacles and failures. All I saw were other people's expectations. I couldn't see the horizon. I couldn't see hope. I couldn't see dreams and futures. I could not because I was too busy looking back. Don't fight back. Fight forward. Fight forward to the things that matter. Now more than ever, each and every single one of you are warrior poets fighting for our young people. In the most difficult time in education in all of my life, right now, the uncertainty, the challenges, you are the front line. Don't fight back. Don't look at what was, is, or no. Fight forward for your kids. for your communities, for your schools. Fight forward to the things that matter. In this time of uncertainty where you feel like you can't do enough, you can do everything by focusing on those kids, because you make moments like that a reality. Educators like you and the ones that are in your charge make that old man's dreams real. In his wildest dreams, he couldn't imagine what I became. And all of that happens because of each and every single one of you and the work you do in your schools by leading, by being those school leaders that lead your populations forward. Don't fight back at hate, fight forward toward love, towards progress. I learned that in that moment. Miss Faye Ortiz was right. I took that scholarship and I went forward. I became the first person in my family's history to go to college. Went to Bloomsburg University, got a business management degree with a focus in human resources, a minor in marketing, and minor in law. Became president of every student organization on campus, edited a newspaper, directed a radio station, graduated from college, first person in my family's history to ever graduate from college with honors. My grandmother, who had never left Puerto Rico, got on a plane and came to watch me walk that stage. My first job paid me more per hour than my mom and dad ever got paid combined in their lives. I bought our first house. We made it a home. And I realized in order to rise up, I got to wise up. I went back to school. I got my master's by the time I was 23, an MBA with a focus in business development, entrepreneurship, and organizational behavior. As a business consultant for my community, start 5 businesses in my community, and then helped start 300 businesses in the state of Pennsylvania. At 25, became the youngest and only Latino professor in the history of College of Business at Kutztown University. And since most of those professors were old white dudes, I became the best looking guy there. Left there to start my business, my first business at 25, my second at 27, started a third business at 30. Then I started Cool Speak, the youth engagement company. We have been around for 15 years. This is our quinceañera. This is our 15th year. We have inspired 1.2 million students, parents, and teachers with programs and assemblies and workshops and summer camps and bus trips, you name it. Anything we do to help put the motivation back in education, we do. And I did it all. It is not about what I make, it's about what I give. Last year, my company gave back $1.4 million of program resources and scholarships to the community that need the most. And I did it all while marrying the most beautiful Puerto Rican woman you've ever seen in your life. So hot, we walk into a room, people look at her and look at me and go, how'd that happen? Here she is. Yeah, she hot. And as beautiful as she is, she's equally intelligent. At 25, I asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up because her father did not allow her to go to college. Even though she got a 1,300 on her SATs, he was old school. Either get married, have children, or go work for the family. She worked. At 25, I said, I love you and you're beautiful, but I can't marry an uneducated woman. What do you want to be when you grow up? And she looked at me and she shared something that she had never said to anyone in the world. I always wanted to be a doctor. So I told her what my dad told me, vete, go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Dr. Sandra de Jesus Ojeda, first medical doctor in her family's history. So I'm sleeping with a doctor. Oh my God. And we did it all while raising 3 beautiful kids. My eldest, Carlos Alberto Ojeda III. Alessandro's in the middle. And Karina, my princess. Yes, she's got me wrapped around that finger. I am 100% girl dad. She's there. Now, everything up until this point, I've been speaking to you as educators. What you do is amazing. I hope you hear that message from me. I have the utmost respect for all of you and the work that you do. You impact and change so many in such ways that you will never truly understand. This last bit, I'm speaking to you as human beings, as individuals in this room, and I want to give you advice about life. 2 years ago, me and my wife celebrated 20 years of marriage. Look at her, still hot. I look old. And I'm younger than her. She's like a cougar, you know? Months after this presentation, after this picture, I was at a presentation in San Diego about to speak to 3,000 educators when I received a phone call that changed our family and our lives forever. My wife was diagnosed with a very rare, aggressive form of breast cancer. My first inclination was to go to the airport and fly home. She said, no, baby, do the speech and then come home. So I did. I gave the speech. I do not remember it. Some say it was one of my greatest speeches. I was in autopilot. I do not remember what I said or how I said it. I just wanted to get it done. I got on the plane and I went home. What started as a lump in February turned into a stage 3 tumor within weeks. That's how aggressive it was. It started pressing on her lungs. She would wake up in the middle of the night feeling like she was drowning. She couldn't breathe. Doctors were nervous. We got a second opinion. We went third opinion. We went to Fox Chase, one of the best cancer places in the East Coast. They're like, we need to move fast. So within weeks, we were in treatment. My family, we were devastated. My son refused to go to college. He said, Papi, I can't go. If something happens to mommy and I'm not here, I will never forgive you. And I won't forgive myself. And that was so disconcerting because he was going to be the second generation. See, first generation is great, but it doesn't matter unless that second generation goes. They truly break the cycle. In order to make my father and my mother's sacrifice whole, he needed to go. He needed to complete it. He just couldn't go. My middle son, Alessandro, he's best friends with his mom. They are like inseparable. It's freaking annoying. They have their own little jokes. The rest of us is like, leave. He refused to be near her because when he would see her, he would start to cry. And he didn't want to make his mom feel bad, but not realizing that not being around her hurt her. And Karina, she was very young at that time. She's the older picture now. All she could do was hold on to her mom. Just hold on. She would hold her, hug her, grab her blanket, thinking that if she held on to mom hard enough, couldn't take her away. And me, after 27 years of speaking, there are only 2 places on this earth I love: being with my family and being here with you, with kids, with parents. I didn't want to speak anymore. My family was broken. We were sad. You could feel it when you walked in the house, this air of just desperation, because we were fighting back. We were stuck, fearful, scared. I remember arguing with God, going, why are you taking her from me? Not realizing that she was still here, breathing right there. And we had a family meeting because we were all like on edge, and we're like, let's talk. And we talked it out, and we cried, and we let all the pain that we were thinking, all the fear come out. And then we decided in that moment, we're not going to fight back anymore. We're going to fight forward. As a family, we are going to fight forward. And we did. Get the smile. She lost 30 pounds. She's only 5'1". She became so frail. Lost all of her hair, but see, she never lost the smile. It's still there. No matter how tough things got, if I could say something stupid, she would laugh. And we just kept pushing. We went to every single one of my daughter's recitals. And when she would play, we would get emotional and cry, but we were there every time. You know, my daughter ran a 5K in honor of her mom at 10 years old. 5 freaking K. I can't imagine a 5K without pulling a hamstring. She ran it, brought the medal, gave it to her mom. We fight forward. We went to every single one of my son's horrible plays. He was great. The rest of them were trash. I hate musicals too. But we were there, sometimes 5 times in one weekend. And sometimes she would get sick and she would have to go to the car, but we were there. We'd have flowers and we'd go to dinner. We'd go to concerts. We started living our lives. We would buy tickets to go to concerts. If we couldn't make it, we'd give it to family and we would tell them, you go laugh your butt off. You go dance your butt off for us. We did not stop our lives. We kept pushing forward. And even though my son refused to go to school, my wife and I went to every single visit. We went to every orientation. And we were there the day, his first day at Penn State University. And you know what he did? He chose Penn State Harrisburg instead of Penn State Maine. Because Penn State Harrisburg had the train to our house. Every Friday, he would hop on that train and come home, and he would cook for his mother to give me a break so that I can relax, because I cooked and cleaned and took care of my family and took care of her. He would come home and cook dinner for our family on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. He would go back at the end of the day. For 2 years, he did that. That's fighting forward. Not quitting. See, not going to school is fighting back. Going to school and finding a way to make it work, that's fighting forward. And it wasn't just us. We went to every one of my daughter's soccer games. My daughter's team came in second place 4 years in a row in the championship. At the beginning of the season, her friends knew what our family was going through. But the rest of the girls started seeing it, right? They would see my wife in the summer with blankets because she was still cold, out there watching the game. And they would not stop. Pretty soon, the girls started coming over at the beginning of the game, and they do this because my daughter and me speak sign language on the field because she's hearing impaired, so I'd be cheating and giving her signals. Don't hate, congratulate, because we innovate, all right? But the girls noticed that I always said I love you, and they started coming over to my wife and go, the day of the championship, I knew the girls were up to something because they were like commiserating. And when that many girls get together, that's just trouble. And they came over and they looked at my wife. She's like, we're going to win for you. Them girls were feral. They were ridiculous out there. My daughter did not allow a single score throughout the entire playoffs. My goddaughter scored 7 goals that day. It's soccer, people. You're not supposed to score that way. These girls were ferocious. And when that double whistle blew and they got their gold medals, they ran over to my wife, and my daughter gave her the gold medal, and the girls took a picture. It wasn't just a soccer team. It was friends and family, the neighbors. We made T-shirts. We are part of her tribe. And she had a shirt that said, they are my tribe. I had friends from across the country wearing the T-shirts, taking selfies, saying it to my wife. My wife underwent 6 months of chemotherapy. It was brutal because she has pancreatitis, chronic pancreatitis, so it was brutal for her, painful. 2 weeks of recovery, and then bam, another one. It wasn't enough. Double mastectomy and reconstruction, not enough. They had to go back in and remove lymph nodes. It wasn't enough. 6 weeks of daily radiation. Every day I took and dropped off my daughter and then would take my wife to get poisoned. Not enough. They told us we needed 6 more months of chemotherapy. More brutal than the first. She got COVID once, flu twice. She got pneumonia and almost died. And after 2 years of fighting, on August 13th, she rang that damn bell because we beat cancer. Because we don't fight back. We fight what? I can't hear you. We fight what? forward. Regardless of what you go through in life, no matter how hard it is, you have to fight forward. I'm not saying you don't fight. I say you fight forward with love, with support. You push forward. You live life with kindness and gentleness and just go out. I have witnessed in the last 2 years some of the most beautiful things. Children from all over the country sending messages to my wife. A woman they had never met, just saw a picture of. They send it. One of my clients sent so much chicken parm to my house that we ate chicken parm for 7 freaking days. They call her Parmy, my kids do. Nana Parmy. I saw the best in humans. You just need to fight forward. That's us. 5 weeks after finding out she didn't have cancer, this crazy Puerto Rican woman decides we're going to run a 5K. I said, baby, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're going to run a 2K. I said, still not going to. She's like, okay, we're going to walk a 2K. I didn't want her to do it. She was still weak, still tired, still sick, still susceptible. Her immune system was down, but you can't tell a Puerto Rican woman what to do. That day, it was raining. And I was like, baby, you're going to get sick. You know, it's dangerous. They're like, we're going to do it. And we went. We made T-shirts. I wore a tutu with lights on it. My daughter's like, Daddy, can you wear 6'1" with a tutu? It was beautiful. Me and my daughter had matching tutus. And we walked that 2K. When you get near to the finish line, if you've ever walked for cancer, it is a beautiful thing because everybody wins. You know, they put the finish line, you cross. They put another finish line, you cross. They put another, because everyone wins. There's confetti, there's a DJ, everybody's celebrating. Everyone cheers everyone that crossed because we all win. And as we hit the corner, we got a long hill to get to the finish line. We realized that my wife was sick and she couldn't make it. She's like, I don't know if I could do this. And I will tell you, most men never get to see the moment that their boys become men. I did. When she said that, my eldest looked at me, said nothing. He was like, and my younger son looked at him and was like, yep. And they grabbed each of their mom's arms. They carried her over that finish line. And when we carried that finish line, the confetti blew, people were cheering, and we huddled up. And that's when we all started crying. That's where it all hit us. And we cried and we cried and we cried because that was the moment we realized we won together. This season right now for education is dark. It's always darkest before the light. The uncertainty, the challenges. This is the moment where we come together. This is the moment where you continue to be what you are, which are dream makers, making wonderful dreams like my father's dream a reality, where we continue to fight together, not apart, where we continue to fight forward, not back. Because if you fight forward, and you fight forward, and you, and you, and you, and you, and we all fight forward, you know what happens? We win together. One love. Thank you very much. You happy?
I'm happy.